I'm Luigi Trajano Sarmiento, and I'm doing question 1 of assignment 3, INTE2580, and my student number is S4117023. So for this one, we're doing the SQL injection. In order to do that, we'll start off by checking the host file. So sudo nano /etc/host. So this is what it's supposed to have. It's supposed to direct our my goodness, sorry, DC up. Yes, that's perfect. Doc PS. So we're supposed to have this one, the 10.9.05 IP address, and associate with the website that we're going to be doing. So with this, we'll run the website. So this is what we have right now, and our aim is to get into Ted's profile. In order to do that, we're going to do this. Sorry. We're going to use this put this into the username field, because this will inject into the SQL query construction shown in the provided code, which I'll show you in a bit actually, but I'll give you an explanation. So essentially, where the code is like input username, essentially we're going to put this in. And you have to be careful with the dashes and the spaces. So this will result where Ted -- and password #password essentially. So it's hard to explain. I would have to show you it, which I'll show you in a moment. But the single quote after Ted closes a string and literally for the name parameter, while the double dash, it just comments out everything following it, including the password verification clause. So it will just let it through. So when we press this, we should be inside Ted's profile without even putting the password. As you can see, which is kind of crazy. And then from that point on, we can do question 1.2 as well. So from this, we can see like edit profile. We can add task, view task. Oh, spoiler alert, actually. Spoiler. But for this one, we're gonna look at some vulnerabilities and explain why these are considered vulnerabilities. So I'll just show you in the terminal. I'll actually pull it up. Actually, no, we don't need to use the terminal. We can just use this. Code, and then we're going to look at a few. Actually, we're going to view order, because that's what we need to check at. So the ones that we have to look at is the SQL query favorite. Oh, here. Favorite and order. This one and this one. Yeah, SQL2. Okay. So essentially, the constructs of $new favorite variable by combining two user inputs and $_pose favorite from a drop-down selection. So as you can see, these are drop-down selections. Yeah, they're not really that bad, but the ask here, where is it? Sorry, I'm just trying to look for it. View order. I think it was this one. Yes, so this one. So these aren't too bad if you look at it. They're not we're restrained to it, to these options. But this one, the ask and desk, it's relying on, I would say, like honesty or like user input. So it depends on it. So from this, we can put like what's that? Like an SQL malicious query instead of what they expect, which is ask or desk or descending. So we can put any query we want and it will run, and this will run a um, include what's that? What's that? A injection, malicious injection. Essentially, that's gonna happen, and it can be very malicious if we run this, if we have this here, and it can be bad. That's why people would prefer this. We should be using this instead of a input box, and that's what it explains in view order, which is pretty unsafe actually. So it can be flawed, and because it relies on strings rather than parameterized queries. So if you go here, where was that text editor? Yeah, here, input. That is very dangerous, actually. Very, very dangerous. And then this will cause something to go wrong, essentially. So after the single quote, after ask, so essentially like this. Yeah. And then we do this, everything will close afterwards, like here. Afterwards there. So after the single quote of ask, close the intended string, semicolon, then terminates the update statement. And the drop table task executes a separate command. So we can input like an execute command essentially. Another one that we have to look at is actually unsafe. View task. Yes, so another one is this. Sorry, I'm just task view, yes. So this one we'll look at this at a deeper view as well. So essentially these lines of code are considered very, very vulnerable. So it would be split by, sorry, it's been a while. No. Oh, okay, so there's a connection. Yes, so here, from this point on, it is deemed vulnerable over here. So the reason why is because it reveals the most important and vulnerable part of the application, essentially, this part. So it splits the queries, essentially. So you can see it here. So when we put it all together, one query, so all of this, is originally it won't run like a long query, for example, like this. Normally it won't run. It won't run because SQL, what's that? What's it called? Normally doesn't do that unless they have a thing called sorry, give me one moment. There was a certain thing called I'm just trying to find the word. But essentially SQL won't allow you to do that. But because of this, the split query, it'll allow it to run multiple queries in one line. That's why. So essentially, the code represented intentionally split the SQL queries by semicolons and execute each resulting statement separately, resulting in batch SQL executions. So basically, with that line of code that we have here, it'll make it so that the attacker is able to run like multiple executions in just one line of code. Despite it not being allowed, it's been allowed in the code because of this. So, for example, we'll run. So that's 1.2 done. And we're going to look at a way to do 1.3, which is to view the persons with the most tasks. Sorry, I'm twitching around. With the most tasks. Oh, don't cancel that actually. So the person with the most tasks, spoiler alert, it's already here. But, for example, we haven't done it. Yeah. So the person with the most tasks, we're going to put it in. So we're going to put in a selection. So with this, we'll copy that. So I already have the code, but we'll look at a detailed perspective actually. We'll go into, give me one moment. We'll use this, paste that. So when you paste that, you'll see the person with the most tasks. The most tasks according is Alice. Because we did an SQL injection, and I'll show you the SQL injection in detail. Yeah, put it here. So essentially we'll select task name, credential name, owner name. So these are all coming from the SQL table, and I'll show you the SQL table actually. Here, I'll show you the SQL table. Give me one moment. There. And then we'll put that there. Okay. So in order to find the table, we'll be doing this. Doc PS, and then doc PS and doc sh, and it'll be A1. So look at that. So we're already in, and to go into the MySQL database, we gotta run this root.pds. Okay, perfect. So we have that. We're going to do show databases. Oh, no, that won't be good. Okay, so we have that. And then use SQL lab underscore users dash. Yes, and then we got to do this. Get this, then put into that. So there's like a long process we gotta do. Oh. I'll just type it hand. Source. Oh wait, no. Source dash dapper entry point init db.dsql lab users.sql semicolon. Okay. wrong, but we'll just copy it. SQL underscore users dot oh, that's wait. Okay, perfect. Okay, show tables. Oh, perfect. Now we have that. And then we're going to describe tasks. Okay, so we have we have the task here. Describe credentials. And we have all the credentials here. So what we're trying to find essentially is the person with the max task. So we're gonna see that. So we're going to select ID, name, email from credential where ID equals select user ID max tasks. So from that, we're going to see the person with the most tasks. Oh. Yikes, I keep on forgetting it. Oh, I forgot to do this. User ID. So it's 1, essentially. And then we're gonna sorry. Do that. And then Alice with the most tasks. So from that point, we're gonna see what tasks she has. So in order to do that, we're gonna do okay here. Task ID name. Oh, wait. Task ID name and hours and amount, then description. Go ahead, check it. Owner. I keep saying owner wrong. Owner. Type. Oh shoot. Type. From tasks where owner, and then this is where it gets a bit tricky. Select user ID max tasks, and we're gonna limit. No, we don't need one. So this is what the task that Alice has. 4 of these. So we see that, and we can see it from the database. Like, we're authorized. But what happened if someone was not authorized and did it? This is what they see. Look at that. So with the SQL injection that we did, we can confirm that what we see is able to be get or stolen by an attacker with just a simple injection. That injection is pretty lethal, so I'll show you again. It's pretty crazy. So look at that. Put that in there. Make sure there's a space. Look. Has it up displayed for the attacker to see. That's crazy. So that is question 1 done. No, it was pretty long, but that's pretty much done of it.